how can we create a stressed environment where the students can feel the pressures of the responsibility they will face in the workplace and the complexities of decision-making when other people are involved. We consider how we can create a simulated experience of these engagements for them, where their skills can be practiced with facilitation in a safe space. Then, they can effectively go out, engage with others, and connect with them on a human level.
Deep breath in and out.
I specifically wanted this challenge to see how we can, at scale, with 1,600 students, create something that is sustainable and integrated, that they can really develop those skills. Rather than just putting them in groups and sending them out, can we somehow prepare them towards that?
Lonnie is the one that orchestrated it together and really connected all of us around a bigger vision. And the vision is centered around the students and growing the students and giving them the space to grow, really. And what actually happened is all of us grew.
We wanted to find a way to bring together what theatre and lived kind of performance and experience of that performance can offer to learning, I suppose shaking up what the standard learning forms are a lot of the time in a university context.
Leilani had been to an immersive theatre experience, and what an immersive theatre experience is something that's not on a stage or in a theatre, but where you are in a kind of real-world environment and you have a fictional but very embodied sensory experience.
You have to help me retrace the steps of my journey, understand, observe. I think once we can find out where all of these objects come from, we can somehow piece my story together and understand.
There was a quote that Yaku kind of brought to the table, which was about coming back to the same place that you had been before, but seeing it afresh because of the experience that you'd gone through. So we started to create a narrative around the time travel concept, where we could have students travel from one time to the other, which would allow us to bring them back to their starting point, but having gone through a very exciting and interesting journey. We wanted to embed the learning areas into these different sites and give each one its own context and its own atmosphere that was based around the site and the narrative.
You're supposed to do a spot the difference task. So just look around you, see what you can tell that is different in the video and what is different now.
So the hope is also when they walk past that space again, they will refer back to that learning experience. Or when they think about what they've learned there, they can connect it with a space that felt contained and comfortable. So a large part of the learning themes is centered around their ability to connect and relate to other people. There's an Enneagram activity, and the Enneagram is a motivational style typology that we use. And in that specific activity, they are supposed to look at a video, look at these different characters playing out this specific narrative, and try to identify and understand why one of them might be acting a bit more obnoxiously or disruptive to the process. So almost trying to understand from how that person is speaking and behaving, what might be underlying that, to not just judge them on what they hear and what they see.
Our time machine here is powered by positive energy, and how we generate that positive energy is by exchanging yes and statements.
We see most of the problems that occur isn't a skill issue. It's a disconnect for either the individual or a disconnect between individuals in how they work together.
So one of the learning avenues is really to understand that we have two ways where we show up with people and in spaces. We either match by seeing what works, what we like, or we mismatch by judging the space and seeing what doesn't work and what we can improve.
The students have to look at a sequence of comic book frames. The activity that they're given is to look at it and working with one another to figure out the sequence that they feel that it should be presented in.
And what about this one?
Yeah, this one.
that really kind of, in a simple way, allows them to kind of take the idea of the sequencing and a journey through a story and then actually walk it and create a physical embodiment of that with the yarn in the trees.
We aren't really so focused on the outcome or whether it's right, so we don't really care if they connected the story in the right way. But what's really important there is that they can communicate and negotiate with each other in that space.
There are any number of embodied media that are helpful and offer new and different kinds of learning experiences. So I think there's an evolution there to really think about how we can use different kinds of teaching tools.
So this project has been really nice in terms of being a place to experiment with new ideas, to try things out, and it has been quite exciting to kind of not always know which is the right path and to have to kind of improvise.
And so for both of us, staff and students involved in this project, it really is a step in a different direction. And not necessarily saying it's the right direction, but it is definitely challenging us to think differently. And as a consequence of doing it, us creating it as well as them being in it, we will also think differently about how we can engage with each other and how we can perhaps influence and impact each other.